It's very important to start your day when you're quite very inspired as a business person. But of course, not only just a business person, but also any person as you are trying to pursue a career into something. It's good to get inspired. And, this comes in from the people that we look up to, the people that we emulate proudly. Some have gone before us regarding these emulations that we are imitating from them. Well, at this time we're heading to our business tips and quotes, but definitely before we get there, don't forget in a few minutes the Markets on the Zabo platform just about to open. They will be opening at 8:15 a.m. till 3:15 p.m. That is East African time, effective Monday till Friday, except on the weekends and the public holidays. Of course, Start292 hash is the code, which will lead you to quite lots of options in there. You can choose to buy government bonds and securities. Of course, any of your choice for as little as 15,000. You can invest more, but that's just the minimum requirement. And you will be able to own a government bond, a company security, something quite very key for your financial security. And now this is what Zabo says: no more paperwork. This can be done at whatever part you are. Zabo, my money, my future. And All Tech East Africa, which says do something new. Now diving straight into the business tips and quotes, let's take a look at the business tip of the day. Okay, now the business tip of the day says user experience is everything, and it always has been, but it's undervalued and invested in. User experience. And if you don't know user-centered design, study it. Study it. Hire people who know it. Obsess over it. Live and breathe it. Get your whole company on board. Now that is a very deep concept when it comes to that is a business execution. Let's review it one more time. User experience is everything. It always has been, but it's undervalued and underinvested in. If you don't know user-centered design, study it, hire people who know it, obsess over it, live it and breathe it, get your whole company on board. Now, what this person is actually trying to put out here is something that is in line with the perfection of your skill, of that service, of that product that you're putting out there for the people to consume. It's very important. It's just using the word the user-centered design is just an allegory to try to embrace quality and having the technical know-how of whatever you're trying to do. If you say that my company is developing softwares, it's very important that you hire the people that know this. But even before hiring people, it's important that you as an entrepreneur, you have knowledge about what you're hiring people for. Even much more better than them. Actually, you must be even much more knowledgeable about what you're telling them to do. Because in there, you will be in position to actually take control and make the relative strategic decisions. That's why it says, first of all, study it. Study it. Now, this applies to the entrepreneur. You have to study it. You have to know what you're heading into. You have to be ahead of the people that you lead. You have to be ahead of the people that you hire. So you must be seeing what they can't see. So study it. And if you hire people with degrees, at least you should have a master's degree. If you hire people with diplomas, at least have a degree. So, you see how you have to study it. That's step number one. And number two, after studying it, you are the entrepreneur, hire people who know it. Now, take a step. You take a step to hire people that know it. That's why I was saying you hire people that you know this more than them, because at the end of the day, you will be able to direct them. If you hire people that are more qualified and who know more of what you do, in most cases, chances are high that you will lose direction. They will feel like they can't be under you. All right, now hire people who know it, then obsess over it. Obsession, that's strong. See, when they say that you obsessed over something, you're so much into it. Now, obsess over it, live and breathe it. Let it be a part of you. There is this aspect of you attending to what you're supposed to do, and you allocate it a given time. Yeah, that can be okay. I'm not saying it's not right, but for excellence purposes, it's always better when what you do is not just allocated time, but it's you. Actually, it ceases to be work. It's lifestyle. Yeah, live it, breathe it. It's lifestyle. That's what it's trying to say. Now, get your whole company on board. Of course, when you have all that sorted out, then getting your whole company on board, now that simply means you will be in position to command and take influence and drive the company into the direction that you really feel it should be undertaking. Well, now let's wind this up as we take a look at the business quote of the day. Now, the business quote of the day says here that logic will get you from A to B. Imagination will take you everywhere. You see, life has two aspects. Majority approach it from the logical side, and others approach it from the what we can call, I don't want to say imagination, but of course imagination is okay. But yeah, we can try to assume, okay, yeah, imagination, it is okay. Creation, I mean, from the creative aspect of thinking outside of the box, regarding that. I relate to this, to something. I was reading an article of somebody who, probably some of you have come across it, just trying to relate to this statement for it to make sense, of somebody who said that, today's a colleague of mine who didn't finish senior 4 gave me a lift in his brand new, actually it was some good ride. It must have been a Benz, and for him he was a doctor and he was sweating in there. But anyway, later this colleague says, what, it would have been better that you would have passed me and you wouldn't even give me this lift, because I'm having a mental issue. I have a degree, I studied doctor, but how come I'm not, for you didn't even finish senior 4 and you're driving a very expensive car. Now, trying to relate to that, sometimes the logical aspect is that get a degree and life will be okay. That is logic, and it makes sense, by the way. It makes sense. Yeah, it does. But now, when we look at the other side of the imaginative aspect, you have this perspective that, okay, I don't have a degree, but life is not about papers. Life is about me. It's about how I view the world. It's not, God didn't say that I need to have a degree for me to get somewhere. Though I'm not saying don't have a degree. But imagine you have a degree and you're also imaginative at the same time. That would be better. So it's all about you. It's not the degree. It's not the degree. So I'm trying to get this, the degree being the logical. It's that tradition we've grown up into. It's what our parents have taught us. Get a degree, life will be okay. It's logic and it makes sense. But there is beating the odds regarding that. So that takes a creative mind, a creative soul, a creative spirit to approach it that. So that is life regarding that. So I don't know what direction you choose, but I would urge you to have both. Have the logic and the imaginative aspect. It will be very important. Of course, this would be just for the sake of trying to fit into the people that are absorbed by the logical thinking. It is okay. Sometimes you need to have peace with them anyway for you to get what you want. So that's why you need the logical aspect, just to fit within their understanding. But the creative aspect, the imaginative aspect is everything. Yeah, so that is it. 30 minutes past 8. And of course, we've come to the end of our business tips and quotes, and now heading straight into our next update. And this time around, we shall be looking at financing. That is for refugees, and we see that access to financial services and a steady source of income are key concerns. That is for displaced populations when they begin to settle. That is in camps. Hilton Foundation and other development partners have, of course, provided a grant of about 500,000 million USD to improve. Yes, to improve, no, 500,000 rather, grant of 500,000 USD to improve financial inclusion and early childhood development in the refugee settlement regions in Nachivale, Nachiriandongo, and so many other areas. Let's get into this discussion.
Over 1.5 million refugees in Uganda, and we have, as Opportunity Bank, we have worked with these refugees for the last 4 years, extending financial inclusion programs. These include savings, loans, and financial literacy trainings. Now, refugees in Uganda are facing a number of economic challenges. For example, when refugees come into the country, they come as they are. They don't come with they don't have logbooks, they don't have land. The small pieces of land they have that is given to them by the government is not theirs. And so one biggest challenge they face in their bid to access financial services is lack of collateral. And this has, is a big challenge that it has motivated us as Opportunity Bank to design products for the refugees that they are able to access without necessarily requiring them to bring any form of collateral. For example, we have a program which we do extend to refugees into groups, and refugees serve as collaterals for themselves, for each other. They make sure that they remind each other to pay, and they are able to, to get that opportunity to access the loans. The other challenge that we have been facing is the know your customer issues. That for a long time, the refugee ID had not been recognized as a requirement for them to access financial services until recently, when we advocated with the Bank of Uganda, and now that is recognized. But of course, we still have issues around verifying these documents. So we have to work with OPM, Office of the Prime Minister, in charge of refugees, to be able to verify these documents. And we believe that the new changes that into refugee registration that produce an ID which has a barcode will help resolve some of these challenges.
Some of the businesses,
they do participate in a lot of economic activities and small businesses. For example, we have given out loans to refugees who are running small retail shops. We have given out loans to refugees who are running agricultural projects. We have given out loans to refugees who are also who are running advertising companies, who are running entertainment companies in Uganda and in the refugee settlements. But we have also given out loans to refugees who are selling services such as water, border, and so we've identified that the loans we give to refugees are put in good use. They implement businesses, and we have seen these businesses grow over time, and that's why we are seeing so many refugees coming back for repeat loans, because the businesses are growing, and we're excited to see that our program is indeed changing the lives of refugees in Uganda.
So we are here today, hosted by Opportunity Bank, to launch a consortium with Hilton Foundation, Finca, Opportunity, and PHB International. Hilton Foundation is supporting us with a grant of over $500,000 US that is going to further our financial services to the refugee segment. Finca Uganda is working already in Kiriandongo with Weyale specifically, where we have an office. We are reaching out to quite a number of refugees in that settlement. We've spent about 3 years in that segment, working with them through, first of all, financial education, where we go into the host communities, be able to train the refugees on financial service skills, particularly put them in groups or even work with individuals. As you're aware that Uganda hosts over 1.5 million refugees in this country, and it's important to make sure that they get sustainable financial services and are able to live sustainably in those communities. Now, as Finca today, the Hilton Found grant of support helps us actually to target our interventions to early childhood learning centers. Now, these are actually centers that are training children below the age of 8 years and empowering them with the skills to be able to be productive as they grow. It will not only help the early childhood centers, but also support the mothers and the families in actually providing sustainable livelihoods in these communities. Now, some of the numbers that we've done in those areas, we've reached over 10,000 people in financial education. We've seen millions of savings in those communities, and we are now also providing credit into those areas with over 150, over 250 million in loans disbursed in just Wayale alone. Now, this is just a start. Finca has committed and is opening up to almost 10 more locations where we'll provide refugee financing to support the various communities in over the 13 districts where we have refugees settled in Uganda. In this grant with the Hilton Foundation, the way it's going to work in the first 2 years of this project, we're going to focus first of all, we've done scoping to see how many early childhood learning centers they are. Remember, this is going to be in 3 areas. Finca will focus mainly in Kiriadongo. Our partner opportunity bank is focusing in Nachi Valley, but we are also working with greater Kampala areas where you have urban refugee centers. Now, the first part of the project really is going to work with the early childhood centers, development centers, to really get to learn a bit more on upskilling these center holders on being able to deliver the right learnings to these children. But also we're going to work with the communities to identify those with needs. Some of the needs in those areas are really financing. Most of these parents cannot afford these centers. They can't afford to send their children into those centers, but also providing the necessary support structures for the parents. As you will know, if I have a child that young and I can't have anyone to support them, then it's going to inhibit me to do my own business. So this will also go towards extension of supporting the mothers to these children to be able to have sustainable economic activities. So those are kind of the interventions we expect from this program early on.
Sortium has been working with refugees since 2018. It is a concern, it's always a concern, but we have very strong partnerships with Office of the Prime Minister, with UNHCR, with the refugee-led organisations themselves and the local communities. And working through and with those partnerships, we have been able to minimise that risk. That's not to say that every single loan that has been given, we have lost 1 or 2 refugees back to their communities, which of course is also seen as success to them. To their countries, but majority of the loans that the banks have been able to disperse have been successfully paid, and the refugees are still in.
Urban refugees are undertaking their own entrepreneurial initiatives and often in sectors in which they have no prior experience. Of course, according to Noah Sempija, that is the country lead for Refugee Financial Inclusion and Opportunity Bank, it says that actually most of them also lack collateral and access to the microloans that could help them, that is, start businesses. And this prompted the Hilton Foundation and other development partners to offer a grant to the tune of about $500,000 to over 1.8 billion to improve financial inclusion and early childhood development. So that is quite very key for the refugees, and quite we have so many in this country, Uganda, that come from the different areas displaced, due to related conflict. And in most cases, when they come into a country like Uganda, they would love to know, wow, how can I start a business? What business am I supposed to invest in? And of course, yes, I'm starting this business, but where do I need to get my capital? I don't have capital. Remember, I've come from another country. I'm starting from scratch. So development partners are coming up together to ensure that they provide some sort of financial information to the refugees, and of course, not just equipping them with relevant skills, entrepreneurial skills, but also giving them a grant of 500,000. That could be a startup. It can be done for. It can be used to execute quite a number of aspects here. Now, we see that Hilton Foundation has been honing its priorities over time, and we see that today, that was during yesterday's launch. The funds, today it funds about 7 focus areas, including refugees, and 4 of these are essentially global in nature. So, refugees on a global perspective, the Hilton Foundation is working towards. Now, grants from Hilton's refugee initiatives total to about 19 million. That is in 2021, and in 2022, the program commitment more than doubled to about 46 million. US dollars. Almost, that's about 10% of its overall grant making, representing a commitment to the program that more than twice. So yes, this is quite very interesting, and we need more development partners to come together to fight for this cause for the refugees in the country. Remember, once they prosper, it adds on the country's base into that. So it is a key perspective to really consider the importance of the refugees. Now, of course, still here, according to the United Nations High Commission for Refugees, the refugee population in Uganda is estimated at about 1.15 million people. And now this makes Uganda one of the largest refugee hosting countries that's in the world. South Sudan alone is the source of more than 1 million refugees, with about 86% of these comprised of women and children, majority of them. Well, it's 25 minutes past 8, and now we're going to get into a short commercial break. And of course, coming up is the business entertainment. What is happening in there? Definitely you'll be excited to find out what is coming in there. Stay tuned on Smart Means Business. We shall be returning after the break. Good morning.